that good.
He means business.
Okay, don't get carried away. Handshake. Welcome.
Toastmasters gone wild.
We have something. Yes?
Well, I officially have signed up.
Oh. So we have no guests?
Yes, we have no.
One?
Why don't we just ask for name and
We should. What is your name, please?
it is Annalisa Fredrickson.
Annalisa.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your new membership. I'd like to turn the meeting over to our president, esteemed Louis Denbaum. You want to smack her?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our meeting today on August 19th, 2014. We meet every Tuesday at 7:45 in the club room at Hy-Vee in Fairfield. You are all welcome to join us, our viewers at home. We want as many people here as possible to show off our budding speaking skills that we're developing by being part of this club. And with that, I'd like to read the mission of our club. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop their communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth.
Yes, let's hear it for that.
All right. So I know I mentioned Toastmasters this week to somebody and invited them. How many other club members here talked about Toastmasters? Was that in your sleep, or do you actually have real
Well, sleep.
sleep? Very good. Very good. Well, I would like to, without further ado, I would like to turn this meeting over to our incredible Toastmaster for the evening, Louis Denbaum.
Hey, Louis!
Mr. President, I want to say I did not vote for you, but you're doing a good job.
All right.
So the theme for tonight's meeting, road trip. And we have a quote. The quote is by Ray Bradbury, and it's half the fun of the travel is the aesthetic of lostness. I could really relate to that. When I was dating our table topics master for the evening, we took a road trip from her apartment outside of town into town, and I parked the car in front of Iowa State Bank and First National Bank. I went around to the passenger door, I opened the door for her, let her exit the car, and I said, your job is to remember where the car is, because I won't. So I've experienced a lot of lostness in my life, even on short road trips. I'd like to start by introducing the role players for tonight's meeting. Our first role player is Dan Craig, who will be our timer.
My role as timer is to keep track of all the speeches, evaluations, table topics. My methodology is a little different tonight because the light bulb for the time light's gone.
Oh
But I have a little program on my smartphone which it's a combination of stopwatch and colored lights. I can't demo like we usually do with the time lights, but for example, when you reach 1 minute in table topics, you hit the green, and then when it hits 1:30, it'll go yellow. When it hits 2, you go red.
Wow.
So we'll muddle through somehow.
Excellent.
Table topics are 1 to 2 minute speeches. The green light's turned on at 1 minute, the yellow light at 1 minute 30 seconds, the red light's turned on at 2 minutes and remains on to the end of the speech. Prepared speeches are usually 5 to 7 minutes. I need a agenda. the green light's turned on at 5 minutes, the yellow light at 6 minutes, the red light at 7 minutes, remains on until the end. Evaluations are 3 minutes, the green light is turned on at 2 minutes, the yellow light 2 minutes 30 seconds, the red light 3 minutes remains on until the end of the evaluation. After a red light, you have a 30-second grace period, and then you might begin to hear applause. So let's all try to keep on time. I'll give a report at the end.
Now, you know being the timer is a really important job if there's an app on your smartphone for being the timer. Okay, so our counter tonight, grammarian, let's do grammarian, John Miller.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I will be listening for, we don't have a word of the day, so I won't be listening for that. I will be listening for exceptionally good and bad uses of language, good uses such as lostness, that kind of thing. And that's all.
All right.
All right. Get the report from John, and then next is our counter, Monty Condon.
I am your friendly neighborhood odd counter. I'm in charge of listening for those filler words we all love. The ahs, the ums, the likes, the you knows, the so, buts, and the repeats and false starts. I will keep a tally and I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Jyoti Raj Adhikari is our general evaluator. We'll hear from him later in the meeting. Mati Gandhari will be our joke master at the end of the evening. We look forward to that. And now it is time for our fun part of the meeting, which is table topics. Please warmly welcome the incredible Diane Denbaum.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the club. Thank you, Sabine. The theme is road trip, and the reason for table topics, I'm just going to read this out of the manual. It said the ability to think and speak quickly is an important skill that will help you be successful. That's why the table topics portion of the Toastmasters Club meeting was developed. Table topics provides you with the opportunity to practice thinking and speaking quickly. Tonight, I always love, and we haven't done it in a while, we call it prop night. So I have some props. And when I call you up or when you volunteer to come up, I'm going to give you two choices. I'm going to give you the prop tonight. And then you'll get the prop, and here's your two choices. You can speak first person. You look at the prop, how does this relate to some experience that you've had on a road trip? The second thing you can do, if you're feeling a little more creative or you like this, is you act as though you're the prop and kind of tell us the story from that perspective. What went on for you as the prop with whoever it is that you want in the story. So you can pick which way you'd like to use that. Any questions? Okay, so then volunteers, new members, people without roles. Yeah, Annalise? You want to go second? No problem. It's amazing your hand went up, so good for you. So number one, who wants to break the ice here? Number one, someone without a job, someone with not a huge speaking job, Jean. All right, so come on up, Jean, and we'll get you started. We'll shake your hand. Okay, you mean you didn't get my direction?
Well, I'm either the prop or I'm talking to the prop, I'm on a road
No,
trip.
two choices are.
That's right.
All righty, let's clear this up. what I hear you say is you don't know what the heck you're supposed to do. The theme is road trip, so the props are going to have something to do with the road trip. And you have two choices. You just tell us a story, you hold the prop. One day, whatever, hubby and I were traveling on the road. The second thing you can do if you feel a little more creative, I think it's creative, is you pull out whatever the prop is, a key. You're the key, and you're telling the story about what's going on around you. Okay? Good. Let me see what I'm going to give you. Let's see. All right. For Jean, I'm going to do this one. Hold on.
Okay, I got it. I gotta get ready for that. Fellow Toastmasters, new member, and viewers at home. I love being the lunchbox on the road trip. I'm usually a little bigger than this, actually, because when I go on a road trip, I like to be full up. Because I know that the people that are traveling with me in the car are going to get bored after a while, start getting antsy, and what always happens is someone says, "Let's eat." So this is more like maybe an hors d'oeuvre size of myself. The bigger size, obviously our table topics master would not have had room to bring that, but I am usually filled with 2 to 3 different kinds of sandwiches, tuna, egg salad, pickles, celery, lots of lettuce, lots of great bread. Fruit, can't go wrong with fruit. Chips. Now, you don't necessarily have to be in the refrigerated part of myself, because I do have a place where things will stay cold. But just to keep everything together, I have my chip compartment as well. Chips are great. And cheese doodles. You know, those cheese curls things, those are great. Napkins, because if you eat cheese curls, you get that orange stuff all over your fingers, and we don't want that all over the car. And then, of course, dessert. Cookies. Cookies are the best. Chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin, I think, covers pretty much the gamut. The drinks are in my companion cooler. I usually like to have a friend along. It's really for refrigeration. That sits in there. I generally get lighter as the day goes by. But guess what? At the end of the day, I'm pretty much empty. But they load me up, and the next day I start and I'm all filled up again. I love being a road trip lunchbox. Thank you.
Someone else, oh, number 2, you ready, Annalisa? All right, let's see. So you come on up. Shake your head and then I'll give you your prop. And you get 30 seconds to think. Okay. For a minute. You have your book. So here's your prop. Ooh.
So, fellow Toastmasters, guests at home, I don't know how, and then, yeah, I don't know the introduction, I'm sorry.
That's
fellow Toastmasters, guests at home. I'd like to talk about a road trip I took about 3 years ago from Iowa, where we are right now, to California, which I'm sure many people have done this road trip. It takes about 3 days. If you go pretty much nonstop, or we did it in a week. So we decided to, I'm not gonna flip through each state we went to, but one place we went to was the Grand Canyon. That was really fun. We went camping at the Grand Canyon. and we went hiking like along the edge, which you've been to the Grand Canyon, but it's super expansive. You're just like afraid you're just gonna fall off. We went to Vegas. I'm kind of at the end right now, but went to Vegas after the Grand Canyon. These monster buildings, flashing lights. After 30 minutes, I was like, I want to get out of here. We went to, where else did we go on that trip? Oh, Santa Fe, which was a nice artsy community. And we went to Sedona, and we hiked through those, went to the vortexes, which are these special spots, these beautiful red mountains. So that was a really fun road trip. And when I say we, it was my husband and I should have mentioned that. The end.
Good. Thank you. Very good. Big hand. That's always the first thing. Yes. The icebreaker of table topics. Someone else, another volunteer. Will, you come up. Ready? Prop for you. Hang on 1 second. All right.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored distinguished guests, and viewers at home. I have here a pair of jumper cables. They are indeed a pair. And it's actually funny that you would give me this, Diane, because when I see these, I'm reminded of partnership. In fact, I remember I'll go back a little bit. A few years ago, I had the fortune to help a young lady. She's now my girlfriend. However, at the time, her car had broken down, and she needed my help. So I came with each, to save the day. Her knight in shining armor and a Honda CR-V in the back hatch here. However, when I got there, I really didn't know how to apply these things, but she did.
She did.
So this, to me, exemplifies a good partnership, where you need to have both components, the tools, and the knowledge of how to use them, and together we're a great partnership.
How are we doing for time?
Plenty of time.
Plenty of time. I have more props. Annette. And then, you're thinking. No, you're Let's do this for you. Hello.
Yikes. Binoculars, I usually take these to the theater. Usually take them on a road trip, although there was one time when we needed one. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, I want to tell you about a road trip that could be an actual speech, but I'll shorten it for now. In fact, my cousin, who was on this road trip with me, made a speech out of it and got lots of laughs. We were living in New York at the time. I was about 14. My cousin was a couple years younger. And my aunt, who lived in Vermont, and my mother and I, my cousin had come to visit our family, so my aunt drove down, and the four of us drove from New York, Long Island, New York, down to Ashdown, Arkansas, where my cousin was from. And we had a lot of fun on the trip. There was a truck in front of us that had all these cute guys on it. Oh, there's one now. Oh, there's another one. Turned out, and my cousin and I were flirting with them, waved there. Turned out they were convicts. My mother and my aunt didn't appreciate that too much, but we had fun. Another thing that happened was we were driving through, I don't know where, Virginia maybe? Do you go through Virginia? I don't remember, it was a long time ago. But we saw, do all of you know what kudzu is? Have you ever been in the South? Who knows what kudzu is? Okay. Well, kudzu is a pesky vine that grows all over trees in the woods. I mean, it just covers the trees. You can't see them. It's just everywhere. And it's kind of pretty, but it's like weird. And so we didn't know what it was. We'd never seen it before. And so my aunt started calling it, and Betsy started calling it the creeping unknown. So we, driving along after a while, and also we passed a mountain. You know how they write things on mountains? And my cousin looked out. I guess she couldn't see too well. And she said, "Prepare to meet goo." No, that's prepare to meet God. Maybe if she'd had these, she could have seen it better. But the funniest thing I think that happened was we stopped at a motel and we were eating dinner, and my aunt asked our waitress, she said, "What is all that green, creepy stuff that's all over the trees? What's that called?" She said, "Oh, that's kudzu." And my aunt said, "Gesundheit." So we found out what kudzu. Look it up, Google it. You won't believe it if you haven't seen it. You've got to see it or go to the South. So that night we got in the motel, and we had 2 double beds. My mom and her sister were sleeping together, and my cousin and I were sleeping together. And anyway, we got in bed, and it was dark. Sorry, that was the best one. I'll volunteer again. I'll do another.
Okay,
Thank you.
that sounds good. Thank you, Annette. All right, yeah, that's our topic. It's always a challenge in table
Told you it
topics.
was full-size.
You did tell us, yes, so thank you for sharing all that.
Hi, Judy.
Honored guest. Okay, some more? Do we have time for another one?
Yes, we do.
All righty, another, yes, our new member. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna make it like a TV show. I can change up, I'm the table topic master. You're allowed, if you wanna choose something that has already been used, you may, or you can take what's in the bag. Let's,
I'll go with the bag.
all right, I like that. I'll pick it out for you and see what I've got that might work. Okay.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. This is a smaller shell of a big shell I saw when I was traveling through Cancun. And although I wasn't on a road trip, I was walking down the beach with one of my friends. And I noticed there was a bunch of what looked like locals looking for big shells like this. And so I went up to one to see, like, you know, is he selling them, or is he just collecting them, or, you know, what was going on. And I asked him for this big one that I saw. It was huge, and it, you know, would be the perfect keepsake to take home from my trip through Cancun. And so I politely, you know, "Can I have it?" And he immediately told me no. And and I realized that if I wanted one of these, I needed to find it myself. So I kept walking down. I didn't have as much luck as this guy seemed to have, who had tons of these big. But unfortunately, I made as many memories as I could as my keepsakes. And although I didn't find a big shell, I took home memories that will last a lifetime.
Beautiful. very much. That ends the table topics portion. A lot of times here we like to call it the appetizer of the meeting, and thank you to those who came up. Viewers at home, if you come, you can speak. Now I would like you to please vote, and I'm going to check with the timer. Timer, would you just tell us who we can vote for if they made it in the...
We had four qualifiers, Jean and Annalisa, Will, and Samantha.
All right, good. Welcome back. I'd now like to invite up our table topics evaluator, and tonight I have to be on, it's Art, thank you, because the matrix is gone. So Art Atkinson, our table topics evaluator.
Good evening, Toastmasters, and congratulations to the table topic speakers. I consider this particular exercise to be one of the most challenging forms of table topics. And bravo for jumping up in your first meeting to do so. Bravo to everybody who came up. There were two categories of approach offered. One was be the object and speak from that perspective. Only one speaker, Jean, chose that. The other was be yourself and report on an experience connected with this object. Jean was the snack pack. She was out in front of the lectern. She gave us, in essence, a personal story from the perspective of the snack pack, very creative. I start out full. I have all these compartments, all these properties, interesting stuff in them. And by the end of the day, I'm empty. So she was consistent in her perspective on who's speaking throughout, although it was pretty clear that she was talking about a personal experience. There's really nothing that I have that I think could be offered to improve. She did greet the audience, as is Toastmasters protocol. Annalisa bravely jumped up. She had the atlas and reported on a road trip that took us through Arizona, Las Vegas, and ended up apparently in Los Angeles, if the map could be believed. And I have no suggestions to make except just do more of them and get more comfortable with it. That was a great opening table topic. Will had jumper cables, and he spoke from personal experience with jumper cables, not as the cables like I was thinking of doing. This was a brilliant talk. It involved humor, pointed at himself, which is always a safe place when you're giving a humorous talk. He used a spectacular analogy. I just can't find anything to recommend. He was in front of the lectern when he spoke. He greeted the audience. He followed Toastmasters protocol. Annette had the binoculars, and the humor was also really good about the truck full of cute guys. It was the only time that I recall the binoculars actually playing a role in the talk. So, if I missed something, it was a great talk about kudzu, but I thought kudzu filled water canals and clogged up waterways, so I learned something. Samantha had the shell and gave us a greeting to the audience. It was an excellent little personal story about the trip to Cancun. The shell was a constant reference point to the shells that she actually was looking at and found. Those are my comments. May I, Mr. Toastmaster?
Thank you, Art. You stay after the meeting, Art. I'll listen to your cables. Jumper cable story. So now it is time for our prepared speeches. And we have two tonight. I would like to invite up Will Burns, who will be evaluating Joe Lingate.
Thank Lewis. Jolyn Gates will be giving Competent Communicator number 2, Organize Your Speech. Jolyn was born and brought up in Texas and has worn many hats in her life, one of which is that of a governor of the Age of Enlightenment. She taught Transcendental Meditation in the Dallas area for a number of years before moving on. Tonight, she shares a personal story from her time as a TM teacher in a speech entitled Memento. Please join me in warmly welcoming Jolyn Gates.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. In 1976, I went to Biarritz, France for three months to become a teacher of Transcendental Meditation. As best I can recall, the course consisted of day after day of video after video of Maharishi lecturing on the teaching of TM. As a result of this rather relative tedium, I have one clear memory from that 3 months in France. And that was the day I encountered a woman in the hotel lobby who was looking for the TM course. She had heard there was a TM course going on in this hotel, and she wanted to sign up. She wanted to learn TM, and she had misunderstood the nature of the course being held there. Using my college French for the first time since college, I was able to determine what she was looking for and find one of our course leaders who could direct her to the nearest TM center. And she went along on her way, and I went on my way. And I duly became a TM teacher and returned home. In Dallas, I settled into a job and an apartment, and I occasionally got to teach new meditators. And about a year after my course, the center chairman asked me if I would be interested in going to a private home to teach a course. There were 2 elderly women in Dallas, an 80-year-old woman and her 60-year-old daughter, who lived together and wanted to learn TM. The older of the 2 women was a semi-invalid, and she couldn't make the frequent trips to the TM center for the course, so they needed to be taught at home. Moreover, they needed to be taught in French, and I was the only TM teacher in Dallas that spoke French, and could I do it? Could I ever? I was so excited about this opportunity. For 2 weeks, I diligently translated and practiced all the steps of instruction, all the answers to questions that might come up during the course. And I practiced it, and I was very constant in my effort. I wanted my teaching to be fluent and competent. And I finally told my chairman that I was ready. And she arranged for me to go to their home. So I drove to their home. I rang the bell. When the door opened, my carefully planned French greeting evaporated into the ether because there, facing me across the threshold, was the woman from the hotel lobby in Biarritz. Ooh, I kid you not. I gushed something like, "Oh my gosh, it's you!" And she, amazingly, also recognized me. We laughed and she invited me in. And she greeted me in very good but very accented English. And she said that our meeting must have been destined in the stars. And I had to agree. I've often wondered about the odds against such an encounter. She escorted me into her mother's bedroom. Suzanne spoke a little English, but not enough to have been able to understand instruction in English. And so I was newly gratified at having this opportunity. The teaching went well, went smoothly, without incident. And on the final day of instruction, I arrived at the house as usual. Only this time, Simone escorted me into the living room instead of Suzanne's bedroom as before. And Suzanne walked into the room with the aid of a walker, just grinning like anything, anticipating my surprise at seeing her on her feet. She was right. She settled on the couch next to me, and Simone took a chair nearby. The final instruction went well. We were done with that, and we were lingering with tea and conversation afterwards. And Suzanne reached for a large bowl of seashells on the coffee table. She picked up a fist-sized cowrie shell, and she looked at it for a few seconds, and then she placed it in my hand. "C'est un cadeau pour vous," she said. "It's a gift for you." And I just almost wept as I thanked her. She told me her uncle had given her that seashell when she was a little girl, and now she wanted me to have it. She gestured toward a book on the coffee table next to the seashells, and I picked it up and I laid it across our laps. She opened it, It was a beautifully bound book about the works of Claude Monet, and it was filled with reproductions of his paintings and a biography. She turned to the biography and to a 2-page spread of a grainy black and white photo of a large group of people on the beach. And they were clearly assembled for a group portrait. There, in the middle of the photo, sitting in a chair, was the man himself, Claude Monet. He was surrounded by his extended family, according to the caption. Suzanne stuck a finger out. She pointed to a little girl in the picture. Ça, c'est moi. That's me. And then her finger moved over, stopped at Claude Monet. Ça, c'est mon oncle. That's my uncle. So I looked again at this seashell in my hand. Claude Monet's seashell. Now mine. This is one of my most prized possessions. Doesn't it look like something Claude Monet would paint? He would admire it and he would paint it. Yes. It has always occupied a place of honor in my home, wherever I've lived. It's a very precious memento. It's a reminder not only of the lovely memory of 2 lovely women, but it's a reminder of the connectedness that we all share. We're all linked in some way. This is my link to the immortal Claude Monet and to his remarkable niece. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolynn. Now, please take 2 minutes to evaluate Jolynn's speech. Welcome back. And now I'd like to invite up Jeff Shipley, who will introduce Rick Starr.
Thank you, Lewis. Fellow Toastmasters, it is my distinct honor and pleasure this evening to evaluate and introduce Rick Starr. Rick will be speaking from the Advanced Communication Series, Speaking to Inform Manual. So if you have a lot of very valuable information that you wish to articulate effectively, like Rick does, this is a very good manual for you to work out. So Rick is doing his second project, which is Resources for Informing. And the objectives for this project is to analyze the audience regarding your chosen subject, focus your presentation at the audience's level of knowledge, build a supporting case for each major point using information gathered through research, and then effectively use at least one visual aid to enhance the audience understanding. In addition to these 4 objectives, Rick is also going to be working on effective use of vocal variety and also purposeful stage movement, so I'll be keeping an eye out for that. The title of Rick's speech is The Automobile in America, and please warmly welcome Rick Starr.
Thank you, Jeff, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. When the automobile was invented over 100 years ago, no one had any idea of the dramatic change this would have on our lives. Over the years, the automobile has given us freedom. It's come to our rescue. And it's been a celebration of our American life. So let's go back through time and look at how the automobile has changed our lives in these 3 ways. The 1920s. The Great War is over. The troops are home. We have peace and prosperity. The stock market is going through the roof. Everybody's making money. Everybody has a car. A car means freedom, especially for young people. Freedom to go where we want to go. Freedom to do what we want to do. It's the jazz age. Prohibition says you can't drink. Who cares? We drink anyway. We drink bathtub gin. We go to speakeasies. We dance to Charleston. Everybody's partying Everybody's having fun. Everybody's getting rich. The 1930s. The bubble bursts. The stock market crashes. Millions and millions are out of work. We stand on bread lines hoping for a meal. We ride the rails looking for a job, any job. To make things worse, years of drought have turned the Great Plains into a vast desert. Year after year, crops fail. Livestock die. Towering dust storms hide the sun. The dust is so thick, you can't see your hand in front of your face. You can't breathe. Finally, we've had enough. We pack up our families and our rickety old jalopies and head west to California, the promised land. The promised land, yeah, right. We get to California and they call us Okies, like we're all a bunch of hillbillies from Oklahoma. Each town they tell us, don't stop here, Okie, we don't want you. Keep moving, keep moving. California is hard, but at least we can breathe again. There's hope. The 1950s. Another terrible war is over. Again, the troops are home. Again, we have peace and prosperity. We're optimistic. We're energetic. We're ambitious. We think we can do anything. Anything is possible. The sky's the limit. Not just the sky, the moon and the stars. We're heading into space. Just look at the cars from the 50s. They're big. They're bold. They're beautiful. Today, it's a different world. We have to be careful about what we take out of this planet and what we put back into it. Maybe the automobile can help. Hybrids, electric cars, even solar-powered cars. Maybe they can help us keep the air clean and save our natural resources. So we've seen over the last 100 years, automobiles have changed, and automobiles have changed America.
Thank you, Rick. Now, please take 2 minutes to evaluate Rick's speech. Back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Did you hear that? Welcome back. Now it's time to vote for the best speaker, but before, I'd like to know from our timer if both speakers qualified.
Joe Lynn and Rick both qualified.
Okay, so please take a moment and vote for one of those two. Now, I'd like to invite up Jyoti Raj, who will lead us in our evaluation section of the meeting. Jyoti Raj.
Toastmasters, guests and viewers at home. This is our evaluation section where our evaluator evaluates the previous speeches. Our first evaluator is Will Jones. He will evaluate John Gates. Let's welcome.
Thank you, Coach Rob. Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, guests, and most especially Jolynn. Well, Jolynn, if you were a boxer, I would say that you're punching above your weight. Second speech, and you did a fabulous job. So, since the theme is organize your speech, I will go in an organized manner down the criteria, and then I will kind of throw some comments in at the end. For the speech value, I feel like that was an easy 5. It was meaningful, it was interesting, that was solid. Preparation, you demonstrated in your speech that you were used to preparing for giving the TM, of course, and French, and also in this speech as well. So that's great. Organization was a 4. The opening for me was a little kind of how you handled the opening. I think we're looking here for was it captivating, and did it lead well into the body of your speech? And that was between, I'd say maybe a 2.5 or so. It was solid. That was probably the weaker aspect of it. But again, your body of your speech flowed very smoothly, and it had a good, appropriate sense of sport material there. Now, with on a side note, your vocal your vocal volume I felt was great. I had no problems where I was in the center of the room hearing you, and I clearly hear everything you said and expressed. Also, your humor was very well done. And the way it was done was a sort of understated but very elegant way to do it. My suggestion for you would be in the speech when you introduced Suzanne. There was because it required the speech had some twists and turns involved. I would recommend, or I would have liked if I could have got more of an introduction of who she was. Was she the daughter? Was she the mother? I understood she was the mother.
Left out part of the speech.
Okay, well that's by introducing her, as the mother. Okay, it kind of clarified things and it helps with the flow a little bit more. But I like how you started with this idea of a connection, and throughout all the different turns of the speech, that was maintained in different ways. And then at the end, you really hammered that point home in conclusion, and made it even stronger and more profound. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach Rod.
Our next evaluator is Jeff Sissy. He's evaluating Rick Starr.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. As I mentioned, and fellow Toastmasters, honored distinguished guests, viewers at home, especially Rick. I mentioned earlier, it's my distinct honor and pleasure, is because, in my opinion, it's a pretty fantastic speech. So, I guess I'll just begin at the top here. Or specifically, for your objectives that you wanted, the vocal variety was spot on. When you're contrasting the excitement of the Roaring '20s versus the Great Depression of the next decade, it really came out from the tone of your voice. When you're talking about animals dying and the crops going under, you're not going to say that in a cheerful tone. I'm sure you could have, but it's not going to paint the visual picture. So yeah, the contrast of your tone of voice was perfect, and great use of vocal variety to set the tone and the mood that, the way you say something is going to create that. And then again, I didn't see any pacing. You were very rock solid in your stance. You were very composed, very confident, and then again, that increases your projection and helps your speech, and especially the flow too. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you made 1 point here, and then the 1 point here, and then made your final point here. So very deliberate use of stage movement. So bravo, I think you accomplished that 100%. And then the other objectives of the speech was to analyze your audience regarding your chosen subject. And yeah, I thought that was very well done. I think everyone kind of has a vested interest in automobiles and the future. The one thing I thought might have been lacking was a direct link on why we should care. That perhaps would only take, maybe 1 or 2 sentences you had it in the conclusion, but if you had 1 or 2 sentences in the introduction, such as, to understand where we're going in the future, we need to understand where we've been. We need to understand the history. Or ask the audience, hey, who here drove a car to the meeting today? Right there. And then this is why you care, because you're using it every day. Focus your presentation at the audience level of knowledge. Absolutely. It was devoid of any jargon. I think everything was very conversational in tone, easy to understand. The methods you use to support your points, again, the vocal variety was wonderful. But then what I most enjoyed, and I was really laughing out loud, was your gestures. You were snapping, you were doing the Charleston, and that just presents it makes it a joy to watch when you're so animated up there, and that really keeps the audience interested. So I thought that was very, very well done. Again, your slides directly supported your speech. You had appropriate visuals. But again, you didn't, just because I really prefer pictures over words on slides, but the risk is the person's going to be more interested in the picture than the speaker. So to make up for that, you were very animated, lively, used vocal variety to make sure that the slide accented your talk and didn't take any attention away from what you're trying to say. You had extensive knowledge on the subject. I thought one thing you could have done to make the speech appear more well-researched would have just been including, facts or features. Maybe this many cars was made after the war or something on this date, just to give the overall sense. But other than that, those are 2 very minor things that would have just already improved an already fantastic speech, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you very much, Rick. All right.
So now it is time for reports. Oh, sorry. First we'll vote for the best evaluator. Let's vote for best evaluator. Do they all qualify?
We have 3 that qualify: Art, Will, and Jeff.
So they are Art, Will, and Jeff. Welcome back. Now this is the time for reports. So let's hear from our grammarian, John Miller.
John.
I could not find much of concern with the language used tonight. It either reflects the excellent use of language or my ignorance of it. Diane said, here's choices, instead of here are choices. That's a very minor point. As I mentioned earlier, I liked Lewis's use of lostness. I liked Jean's being a road trip lunchbox. Personification of that. It was a good idea, Diane, to encourage people to consider personifying what they were holding. Will used a long-used idiom, knight in shining armor, but it was very appropriate in the context of the jumper cables. And his blending of tools with knowledge was also very well done. And that I liked, prepare to meet Gu. Kudzu Gesundheit. Samantha, another expression that has been around a long time, but just very appropriate. Memories to last a lifetime. Took home memories to last a lifetime. Jolene, it was a delight to hear the French and translation. Probably all of us enjoy that, tapping into another culture like that. You did a very good job. And finishing with the shell being the link to 1A. Rick, it's the jazz age, riding the rails, couple of alliterations, big, bold, and beautiful cars. And Will's characterization of Jolene's humor as being elegant.
topics, we had Jean at 2 minutes 12, Annalisa, 1 minute 30 seconds, Will, 1 minute 24, Annette, 2 minutes 43, Samantha, 1 minute 19. Speeches, Jolyn was 5 minutes 30 seconds, Rick 5 minutes 33 seconds. All in all, I think I unnerved everybody by holding
It's true.
because everybody was doing just over the middle. Table topics, evaluator, Art was 3 minutes 16, Will 2 minutes 32, and Jeff 3 minutes 20.
Now it's time to hear our candidate's report at the state.
Getting us started. Nothing on Diane. Jean had some ums, but I wrote okay because she did them for emphasis. They weren't filler words. I want to point that out. What you think that I'm not doing much? Okay. Annalisa had an and a you know. Will had and 3 you knows. Ed had a you know. 3 so's, a but, 5 ands, a tongue click, and I repeated myself. About something. Samantha, just 1 and you know, and 3 ands. Art, 2 ands. Jolyn, 5 ands and 3 uhs. Jeff, you had a you know, and so you only had 5 ums.
Oh, great.
But you have 11 uhs. But your enthusiasm is just worth it. I had to listen hard to catch things because I'm surrendered. You were clean. I wanted to mention that you had 1 so, and I wrote okay because it was the most appropriate word. So there are times when you use these words. Right. You know. Jody Raj, I had 2 so's. John, nothing.
All right.
Time for a joke.
Yeah, joke.
Three drunk guys entered a taxi. The taxi driver understood that they were drunk. So he started the engine and turned it off again and said, "Hey guys, we have reached your destination." The first guy gave him money. The second guy said, "Thank you, man." The third guy slapped the driver. The driver was shocked, thinking the third guy understood what he said, what he did. So he asked, "What was for that?" The third guy said, "Control your speed. You nearly killed us."
That was a good one. So now it's time to evaluate the evaluator. This is my portion of the meeting as a general evaluator. So I evaluate table topic evaluator plus 2 prepare speech evaluators. Our table topic evaluator was Art. So Art started with congratulating the speaker on what they did, and he laid down the method how this went, this table topic went. He came out of the lectern and greeted the audience, and he spoke to each and every table topic speaker. There were 5, and he was able to maintain that within 3 minutes. That I appreciate really in that matter to him. It's very hard to give each and every guy the suggestion in this 3 minutes time. But the only thing I think is when there are so many people, so we'll make a general evaluation in table topic. so which can fit to all of the speakers. Plus, the audience can also have some insight on it. If you go for each and every speaker, you may not have time to give the suggestions or recommendations to each of them. So my recommendation is, if you have more than 3 or 4 or 5 speakers and you have only 3 minutes, then just generalize it. And if you have any specific suggestions or recommendation, you can give it to the specific speaker. But it was fantastic. And Will Grounds. He evaluated Jolene, and he also appreciated her. You use the speech manual. That is a good practice, because that's the guideline what we use, and you can go no wrong. The only suggestions was, you were standing here at this side, and for all 3 minutes you're speaking to Jolene as nobody's there in the office. So what is my recommendation is, even if you are speaking straight to her, but you are giving the recommendations to all of us. So we should feel, each of the audience should feel that you are giving your valuable suggestions to all. So people will be responding to your suggestions when you have eye contact with all of the audience. So that is my recommendation. Otherwise, you were also fabulous. To Jeff, you came out of the lectern and you spoke to all. You have a very good eye contact to this side, but somehow you're missing eye contact to this part of the audience. So 90% you are this part, so 10% I can say this part. So that is one you can improve. Your voice was loud and you appreciated Rick, and you also used the manual. And you had a very good gestures, and I can see you are modeling Rick, like you use the staves, so you are doing this. Second, third, the current generation, so you are giving a good example how Rick did his speech, and that was a very good suggestion for the newcomers, so that they can understand how the gestures and the body movement and the pacing is used. And you have a very good recommendation. You had 2 recommendations, so that was very good. And we also take into consideration that we should have a motive, or that should be a line where speakers should tell the audience that why they should listen to the speech. So what is the link between the speech and the audience interest? So that how to pull the audience. So it was really a good evaluation. Saying that, I'd like to call upon the stage our president to stand along. Oh, sorry. The Toastmasters.
Thank you, Jyoti Raj. Okay, we are running right on time. Excellent. Everyone did their jobs in the right amount of time. So now it is time for the awards. And first, we have, drumroll, best table topic, Will Burns! Next, we have Best Evaluator, Jeff Shipley. And finally, Best Speaker, And Jolynn, please come up and get your ribbon for completing speech number 2.
Right.
And now I'd like to turn the meeting over to our president, Louis Denman.
All right.
So, club business. Gene, you have some club business for us? Come on up. Gene is our Vice President of Membership.
I'm wondering if we might combine something here. What we're going to do is we're going to be voting in a new member or not. So, and I'm thinking, Lisa, maybe we could just do this together since you're so close and we can get this all done at once. So what we do is we have you guys go out. Let's see, Jyoti Raj, maybe could you escort them out? And then we vote. And if you're an axe murderer wanted in 5 states, we may not want to have you in the club at this time.
But there's another club.
We have another club.
Or another club.
I think diversity.
I know diversity is good, but we do need to have alive members as well. So members that are anyway. Yeah, so good. We're going to conduct the new member induction. It's not painful, but it is, when you sign your application, there is a Toastmaster promise that's on the 2nd page. We're just going to review that because that's good for everyone to hear. And as I say the different pieces, you can just say, I will. Okay. Membership in Toastmasters is a privilege, and the only way to gain the benefits of our program is to actively participate. Do you, Samantha and Annalisa, promise to be active members of this club, to attend meetings regularly, and prepare fully for your duties? I will. Do you also promise to fulfill the other points in the Toastmasters promise, which I'm now going to read? As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly. You can see how we have to have roles all filled.
I will.
To prepare all of my speech and leadership projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the projects in the Competent Communication, Advanced Communication, or Competent Leadership manuals.
I will.
To prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments.
I will.
To provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations. You see what we do. I will. Okay. To help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow.
I will.
To serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so.
I will.
To treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy.
I will.
To bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers.
I will.
2 more. To adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs.
I will.
And finally, to maintain honest and highly ethical standards during the conduct of all Toastmaster activities.
I will.
Now to the club. Do you, the members of Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club, promise to support Samantha and Annalisa as they work the Toastmasters program?
Yes.
Okay, good. It is my pleasure to declare you installed as members of Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club. Congratulations.
Just a reminder though, if that helpful evaluation, put your name somewhere on the form.
That's right.
Very good.
Recipient knows who did it.
Excellent. Okay, any other club business?
Yes,
Mati?
I have the speech sign-up sheet that I brought last week. It's filling up quick. There's probably about 4 or 5 slots left. Take a look at it when you leave. This is for the end of September, beginning of October.
Okay. Gene.
Okay, something else. Members. I want to mention the youth leadership program. The youth leadership program, some of you know that I did this youth leadership program last spring. Toastmasters Youth Leadership Program is a requirement. It's one of the ways you can fulfill a requirement for your advanced communicator gold. Even if you're not there yet, that's maybe you're working on your competent communicator or your competent advanced communicator bronze. It's a thing to check off and you get it accomplished, which is something I did. I'm still working on my advanced communicator silver, but I know that gold is coming, so I did it. We have an opportunity to do it this fall. The lady that I did it worked with, everybody knows Beth Alonzo, some of you know, she runs the Interact and Rotaract kids at high school and college level Rotary program, and she is very, very positive about what happened last spring and wants to do it now. We did a little bit of a rush. We tried to get it all in. She wants to set it up. She thinks we're going to have a lot of kids. She's very big. I said we were going to bring it up tonight at this meeting. If you're interested in either conducting, or I'm thinking the way it might go would be, or assisting with this and getting that credit, I'm going to talk to Lewis, because I feel I had so much fun doing it. I felt so fulfilled. I'm feeling a sense of ownership, and I'm thinking about doing it again, somehow fitting it in, but I've already got the credit. Only one person can get a credit at a time, but there's room for assistant coordinators. So we could get an assistant coordinator who could be involved. You could be in getting, like say, having the fun of the whole thing. It's real. I can't even begin to tell you how awesome it was. But so please let me know, or let Lewis know if you have an interest. If you see that coming, it probably would. It lasts 8 weeks. It's an 8-week, 8-session program. It's going to be about an hour and a half, probably once a week. Meeting in the evenings is what we did. There's a whole manual. There's a whole program. Everything kind of flows. You just go, and then you have a celebration at the end. So if you're interested, and you can also look it up online. Go to Toastmasters.org and drill into the education and look up, put in the searches, youth leadership, and you can read more about the program. But let me know, or Lewis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
Any other club business? Okay, so one point I'd like to make is, and some people do this really well, and others don't do it at all, and some people kind of do it a little bit. I think it's important, especially with special manuals, advanced manuals that most of us haven't gone through, and we've gone through some, but not all, and even in the beginning of the competent communicator, in your introduction of the speaker, let us know what the objectives are. And that way, when we're writing our evaluations, we're not telling them that they did something wrong that they don't even know about yet, because the speaker is in their first or second speech. Rick, fantastic, asking for what you wanted. He wanted specific evaluations on 2 things, vocal variety and staging. Fantastic. He knows it's something he wants to work on, and he's asking us to help him. So it was stated up front. So please, I think this will help us as club members evaluating the people who are speaking that night, if we know what we're evaluating them on before they actually start speaking. So that's my pet peeve for the night. Any other club business? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Anyone second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against? Say nay. Any abstentions? All right. The meeting is now adjourned.